From the Grind Up with Jeff McClain. Real stories, real hustle, real success.
Hello and welcome to From the Grind Up. I'm your host, Jeff McClain. This is a show we dive deep into real stories about the hustle, setbacks, and successes in business and in life. Today, you guys are seriously in for a treat. We got a special guest, Jason Lamar, came out to spend some time with us. Before I introduce him, I just want to one pretext before we get to actually see him on camera. And I thought about this quite a bit before today. And you've heard me talk about all the time, different shows, people I coach, things like that, that if you're the smartest person in the room, you need to find a different room. Well, today, your host found a different room. It's the same room, but I brought someone in that has gotten my mind open to all kinds of different things that I'm really excited to bring you guys in on. So without further ado, welcome Jason Lamar to the show.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited about it. I've been following your content personally for quite some time. My son follows it. And, a lot of people I have on the show, I'll say, hey, I got this person coming, that person coming. And people be like, oh, that's cool. Every single person I've said, have you come? They're like, you freaking kidding me? That guy's so cool. He's so awesome. He's funny. I don't think you intend to be funny, right? Right. But the way in which you speak and the way in which you just call it like it is, people can either take it to heart, they can be offended, or they can laugh in a. And I don't think they're laughing. They're definitely not laughing at what you're saying. They're laughing like, damn, I can't believe this dude had the guts to say that.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me about that. So people who haven't seen your content, which I don't think there's too many people out there that haven't, but I'm sure they're out there. Who are you? What's your message? Like, what are you trying to accomplish with what you're doing?
All right, so those are very layered questions, so I'll go in order. As far as who I am, I don't know if you've ever read the Tao Te Ching.
I've not.
Lao Tzu. So in it, he has, I'm probably going to butcher the quote, but something along the lines of the man who defines himself does not truly know himself. And I try and live by that. I try and avoid placing any degree of label on myself or anything along those lines. So who I am is different to different people, depending on who it is that I'm talking to and how it is that they interpret what it is that I am saying and how it is I am in the moment. So I don't have a great answer to that part. As far as what my message is, I believe that I am just an observer of the world. I point things out. People want to get better. I point out ways that can happen. I point out things that might happen to be standing in their way. I point out ways that I think the world works, and people can do with that as they please.
Perfect. That's a great description. I agree 100%, again, based on the content I've seen. And I will say a little disclaimer. There's going to be a lot of questions. Typically when I ask questions, and this is more to the audience, right? When I ask questions of guests, there's usually a list of, 5 answers that they're probably going to say. I already know with Jason, like putting him in that box of here's the question the answer that I expect is probably not going to happen, and that's great. That's what makes you. So I really look forward to the tennis, the round of tennis of here's a question, well here's not an answer. Okay, perfect. Because that's exactly how you operate, and I think that's what makes you so unique and so interesting to a lot of people. So let's get started with some questions that may or may not be answered. So arguably you have one of the most direct communication styles, that I've seen, as far as you're very articulate and you're very to the point and you're talking to a specific audience maybe. Was that always the intent? Like did you set out like there's a need in the world, there's a need in society for this stuff that this knowledge that I have, and these people need it this way? Or is that just how you genuinely are?
So it's a combination of things. When I first started out, I honestly just wanted to share my opinions, my perspectives, and I guess various mindsets that had been beneficial to me throughout my life. And it kind of just unfolded in this particular direction. Like I've always preferred a much more direct black and white approach to things. So I try and say things in a way that would have benefited who I was at one point in my life. Like I remember when I was younger, my mother used to smoke cigarettes, and she was trying to stop smoking cigarettes, and she had these nicotine patches and all of this whatnot. I had to be like 10 years old at the time, and I was like, well, why don't you just stop buying the cigarettes, and then you can't smoke the cigarettes anymore?
Right.
And she was like, well, it's not that simple. And at the time, I assumed that that's the case because, you know, I'm a child, she's an adult. Obviously, it is that she knows these things. But then as I got older and I had my own experiences, like I used to smoke Black and Milds, and the way that I stopped smoking Black and Milds was I no longer purchased Black and Milds, and then I had no more Black and Milds to smoke. And I was like, oh, what do you know? Problem solved. So,
right. Very pragmatic approach.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. So I learned that most things are very straightforward and people complicate them. So, but that's what has always been most beneficial to me is I'm a very straightforward, straight to the point kind of person.
Right. Do you think that the people complicate them on purpose?
Absolutely, yes. So I from my perspective, overcomplication is just a glorified form of procrastination because then you could put something off until you have the perfect way to do it, or you have all of these elaborate steps, and or it serves as a justification for not having done the thing. Like, it is much easier to say, well, I haven't lost any weight because I don't understand the exact macronutrient distribution and how to work with my hormones and the timing of the day and all of this whatnot, than to say that I'm overweight because I eat too much food and can't not do that shit. So it serves as both things. Again, it's a justification. It makes you feel better, and also it puts off what it is that you need to do. Like going with the quitting thing, right? Like they have AA. I'm not telling anyone not to go to AA if that's whatever it is that floats your boat, but you have 12 steps in AA, right? And the only step that really matters is don't drink alcohol anymore. You can not drink alcohol and not do any of the 12 steps, or you could do all of the 12 steps and still drink alcohol and you failed. So what's the one thing that needs to be done is no longer drink alcohol. Boom, problem solved.
Right. Makes perfect sense. And definitely we're going to dive into a ton of that, which I'm really excited
Beautiful.
about. But I on this show, from the grind up, we talk about, you weren't always this, right? People, and I think that can be a little overwhelming to people because I think most people, but I think particularly young men in particular, really what you say really resonates with them. However, I think they also get stuck on, well, yeah, look how smart he is, look how articulate he is, look how dialed he is. I'm not that thing. And so I think it's important, and I know already too, how you feel about the past. Right. And I do want to talk about that because I think it's brilliant. I think your insight on that is next level, to be honest. But you still have a past. And I think the point I'm bringing this up, I'd like to talk a little bit about, were you little 10-year-old Jason Lamar dialing people in, running around town? And that's just who God and the universe created? Or was that something that you built and evolved over time? And the last part of that is, it's not a question, but the reason for that is not because I know how you feel about that, or how you express, that your past, your history, or things like that are exactly that. But I think that the importance in it is for those people that maybe are that, to understand that there is a path to what you are now.
Yeah, fully agree with that.
Right. So that's the reason for that line of questioning. So, again, let's spend a couple minutes just like, were you a 10-year-old, tatted up, lean, Jason Lamar
I was born with abs and tattoos, just came out with beard and everything. This is how I've looked my whole life.
Right.
No, so I actually, it's a relatively complicated answer. So I have always, like I said, I've always been very straightforward, very black and white. And I was told for most of my life that that's not how things are. So I kind of suppressed that or kept that to myself, or just assumed that I was wrong because that's what the majority of people had told me. As far as some of the other things, just speaking broad stroking it, I guess, I used to be a very lazy person. I used to be a huge procrastinator. I used to make a lot of excuses. I used to do so many of the things that I admonish people for doing now. I used to, like I said, smoke a lot of Black and Milds. I used to be a heavy weed smoker. I was never really a big drinker, but I did used to drink. So I used to have a lot of terrible habits. I used to make a lot of excuses. I used to be someone who thought that based on the fact that I had made poor decisions in my past, that I had made it so that I could not accomplish anything worthwhile in my present. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I held a lot of these beliefs. I did a lot of these things. I have not always been the person that you or whoever else happens to be watching sees.
Right. That's built.
It was a journey. It was a path. Yeah, everything is constructed at the end of the day. So, yes.
Right. So, one thing we discussed, when we met yesterday was, some things that we have in common, and kind of grew up in a similar area in Southern California. both found ourselves on the wrong side of a jail cell at one point in time. How important? And I know you said that wasn't like a moment where you're like, oh, I'm never going to do this again. I'm on a different trajectory. But it's definitely a piece of the moments that built you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, how important do you think that having that type of a background, even though your take on the past is that it doesn't matter, which I really want to talk about, but it is an ingredient in who you become today, right? So how does it not matter yet it's a key ingredient in who you become?
Yeah, absolutely. So as far as the key ingredient into who it is that you become, do I believe that it is something necessary to experience certain things? Not specifically, because that's not a thing that you could control, and I'm not sitting here saying that someone born into a different set of circumstances can't make something of themselves or be somebody worth being. That's not what I'm saying. However, what the importance of difficult things in your past is, I believe, is a frame of reference, right? Because so pain tolerance is built through pain exposure. So when you felt pain, you're able to tolerate pain more, right? And a lot of people will take these difficult things that they've experienced and wallow in it, or whatever the case may be. But the way I look at it, as if you had something terrible happen to you in your childhood, your parents beat you, you were molested by your uncle, whatever the case may be, right? You now have a brilliant frame of reference for anything moving forward, because working out is not harder than that. Getting up early is not harder than that. Working 12, 14 hours a day without pay is not harder than that. Staying up to do whatever it is that you need to do to better yourself is not harder than sleeping outside at a bus stop after you haven't eaten for 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. So these give you a great reference point, so you can understand, no, this is not difficult. That was difficult. I endured that. I made it through that, so I can make it through whatever else. Like, what business do you have complaining about the fact that you don't feel like working out, but also you were starved as a child and locked in a closet?
Right. That's perfect. And what's crazy though is how many people are offended by what you just said.
So many people. It's a very, very strange concept to me. And people will respond to this with, have some empathy or something along those lines. I'm like, no, because you're choosing to do a stupid thing with a gift that you were given. Mm-hmm. Just because you don't like the way it looked, it does not mean it's not good for you.
Yeah.
Like have you ever seen the movie Bubble Boy?
Years ago.
This is mad long ago.
Yeah.
But the dude running around in the bubble because nothing can touch him, because if he touches the air or whatever, he's going to die from whatever disease it is that he has. And that's because he's never been exposed to any of these things, never exposed to the sun or germs or anything like that. Mm-hmm. So the more that you deal with things, the more that you can deal with. That's how things work. I think that going through life, never having experienced anything difficult, would be the true tragedy. A life without tragedies is a tragedy.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. And do you think that, I already know what you think, but let's elaborate on, and I don't mean I know what you think clearly, but I know what you think about this. Like, why has society rewarded that victimhood mentality? Like, what is the point? Like, how did that happen? How do we get here?
Oh, these are many things. So I don't know that I could point to like a specific individual thing, but you see all of this stuff as you go. Like with they start giving kids participation trophies in school, mm-hmm. which is here's an award for doing nothing but showing up because you matter simply because you exist, which I think is absolute nonsense. Like, you have to do something of merit. But you see this as a whole, with making sure that everybody's feelings are protected and all of this whatnot, and nobody's sad about everything and everybody feels included in everything just for the sake of it. Personally, I believe that is a concerted effort to weaken people, because weak people listen and are compliant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. It's if and it kind of ties into what you were just talking about with, having a history, having bad things happen to you. It's like, if you're afraid of that, then you're going to comply. If you're afraid of adversity, if you're afraid of struggles, if you're afraid of hard things, then you're going to stay in line. You're going to do as you're told. You're going to become part of the herd, if you will.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's the easier thing. You don't want to get rejected. You don't want to be called names. You don't want the fear of being arrested or anything along those lines. And this is why nobody can stand up for anything that they believe in, because again, they've never dealt with anything difficult. Like nowadays, they act like bullying in school is the worst thing in the world. But it's like this builds character at the end of the day. And I know that people will sit there and take this and say, well, it leads children to doing X, Y, and Z. But the problem is that they are not being raised properly and told how to handle these things. Like my dad would always tell me, like, if somebody hits me at school and I don't hit them back, I'm gonna get my ass beat again when I come home. Like, and this is
You're going to go fix this tomorrow.
exactly, yeah. But that's the thing, though, is at one point in time, people understood that shit like this built character. Yeah. It's like the same thing they have nowadays, where it's like hitting your kids is considered child abuse. I'm not suggesting anyone should just like assault and beat their children, but my dad beat my ass when I fucked up. It kept me from doing worse things than I did, quite honestly.
Right. Because you learned consequences.
Yeah, I still got in trouble. I still did dumb shit. But I would have done much dumber shit if it was not for him and knowing that, oh, man, he's going to beat my ass if I do this. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah. It's. I think we talked about this a little bit. Like, it's almost like the society's kind of flipped on its head. And I think we agree in the fact that having some adversity as a child, let me rephrase that, not having adversity as a child because your parents shielded you from all levels of adversity, all levels of consequences, is a form of child abuse.
Absolutely.
Because it's almost worse. It's you literally are setting them up for failure.
Yes.
Forever. I mean, they still have the ability to change and grow and become better, but they haven't built any of those inner muscles that it takes to even take that first step.
Yeah, you rob them of developing some sort of grit and strength and determination in their formative years. And again, I think that you could be whoever it is that you want whenever you want. Like at any point in time, you could start being somebody different. However, as a parent, I believe that it's your job to prepare your child for adulthood. And I think that nowadays, in the recent whatever years, that it has more so become the idea that the parent's job is to make sure that the child has the most enjoyable childhood possible, and that is a wildly different thing than preparing them for adulthood. Because what do kids want to do? Kids want to eat snacks and play video games and do just a bunch of fun, whatever it is. Like to a child, the best thing that you could do for them is give them whatever it is that they want from the child's perspective.
Right.
But from the perspective of the adult who knows better, you know that you need to tell this child no and set boundaries and make it so that they are able to deal with adversity as it comes. Mm-hmm. Like that should be the job of I believe that's the job of the parents.
I agree 100%. And as a parent, I for whatever reason understood that from day one. And I have a great relationship with my kids, but they also have worked and they've grown and they've suffered consequences and I've said no more than I've said yes, like just the realities of the world, right? And I think so many people misinterpret their job. And does it feel better to give your kid a piece of cake and be like, oh, I just want to love on you? Sure. But that's you. You're literally putting your own weak ass desires above the growth and the development and the future of your children.
Yeah. So no, I fully agree with this. And yeah, it probably does feel better in the moment. Like when I think we talked about this yesterday briefly, but I didn't see my dad a great deal when I was growing up because again, he was off working and whatnot. But when he was around, he was always very much of a disciplinarian. And I resented him for a very long time because it's like, oh, you're going to pop up every 3 weeks and tell me what to do. I don't even see you. Like, who are you to tell me this? But as I've gotten older and I look back, I realize all of the wisdom and the lessons that he was trying to instill in me. And that is a lot of where that is subconsciously even where I learned a lot of the things that I know now. My dad was always someone who would be described as stoic. He didn't call it that himself. But looking back on how it is that he was, how he responded to situations and how he would interact with the world was a form of stoicism. And I took on a lot of that. So yeah, we probably would have had a much better relationship in my youth had he just been super fun, whatever it is. But that would have robbed me so much in my adulthood.
Yeah, I talk about that all the time on the show too. That you can, it's been said that you can have a great relationship with your kids, either when they're a child or when they're an adult. You can't have both. Because if you're their friend when they're a child, you won't want a relationship with them when they're an adult. More times than not.
Yeah.
And clearly your dad understood that. And referring to someone as stoic obviously is a huge compliment. And
yes.
I live my life hoping that that's the way that I'm described because I understand the depth of that and the masculine truth that is that. And to be able to come in as a father and go out and do what he had to do to provide for your family. And then come back and still be like, hey, my work's not done. I haven't built a man yet. And that's part of my job, right? And that's amazing. So all of those hard lessons at the time, had you been able to choose as a kid, you'd have said no.
I would have rejected every single one of them.
Exactly.
I would have been like, you should be more like my mother and just do what it is. Just let me do what I want to do. Not saying that she wasn't strict in it, but she was much less strict than he was. I was like, you should be like her. Yeah. So, but again, because I'm a child, I'm an idiot. I don't know anything. Children don't know anything.
Right.
So that's the people focus on that. So you can't leave this up to the child.
Yeah. So kind of moving on a little bit. Success.
Yep.
Success in life and opportunity, and a word that we both love, which is luck. And let's talk about that a little bit. And you hear a lot of people that are in that part of society, that are there's a huge pile of them that are looking at the few people that got lucky, in their mind, and saying, well, they just got lucky. This is this and that's that. What's your take on that? Clearly, opportunities present themselves sometimes to people more than others. But why do you think that happens?
So I hear people all of the time say things like, if only I had the opportunity to do X, then I would be doing Y or anything along those lines. Mm-hmm. And my first thought is, well, if you were qualified for the opportunity, it would have presented itself by now. You're not given things because you're not ready for things. And the people that people call lucky are still prepared, because as we discussed, there's no such thing as or the lucky opportunities are absolutely useless to you if you're not someone who is qualified to capitalize upon said opportunities. Like people, if you live in like conspiracy theory world and whatnot, all these things, like people will say that Mark Zuckerberg was given the technology for Facebook from the government or whatever the case. And like, okay, cool, that's perfectly fine. However, he was still somebody who was qualified to be able to do something with that technology. If the same government or whoever had come along and handed this technology to some random dude named Bob on the street, you wouldn't do anything with it because you don't have the necessary skills to be able to capitalize upon it. So even in the world of luck and some things just happen to some people, you still have to be the type of person who can do something with that. Like somebody could put you into the Olympics in whatever sport, but you don't know how to dive, so you're still going to lose at the Olympics. Like it doesn't. There's no such thing as luck in the sense, or I don't believe in luck in just the sense of things just randomly happen to people who are completely unqualified and unprepared for things, and things work out. But when you do see like true examples of luck or randomness, like look at people win the lottery. Right? There are people who win $400 millions of dollars, and then a few months or years later, they lose all of it and wind up in a much worse position than they were before. In the beginning, they would have been considered lucky, but you see down the road, it's like, oh, you weren't lucky because this fucked up your life more than your life was already fucked up, because you're not the type of person who's capable of handling $400 million. Mm-hmm. So people have this idea that everyone is the same, but they just have different things, and everyone is in no way is everybody the same. Fit people are different internally as a whole than fat people. Rich people are different internally than poor people. People have is a product of who it is that they are. And most people are not fit to have the things that they want, which is why they don't have them.
Yeah, I mean it's a Robert Kiyosaki quote, and Rich Dad Poor Dad was be, do, have, and I talk about it feels like every other show on the importance of that order, right? And I deal with a lot in business, employees, things like that, and just people that I coach and mentor. It's like, well, you have all these things, you have this, no wonder you're happy, right? It's like, well, yeah, but before I could have that thing, I had to be the guy. You want to have what I have? You want to have what you have? Then you want to speak like Jason? You better be like Jason, do what Jason has done, and then you will have the things that made the talents, the abilities, the skills that he has, right? And so many people in society want to skip the be do part,
mm-hmm.
and or do it in the opposite order. Give me the thing, and then I'll learn how to do it. And that's exactly the point you're making. Like, you got to go around the world being as prepared of a human as you possibly can, because the opportunities are going to come for something. You never know what it is, so you might as well be good at a lot of stuff. Would you agree?
Yeah, no, 1,000%. And I fully agree with what you say. People want to do things in the opposite order. Like, they want to acquire things before doing the thing that's necessary to acquire said thing in the first place. And it's like if you look at a bodybuilder, right? The person who is a bodybuilder, the person who's in great, amazing shape and giant and huge and all of that, whatnot, spent years eating a certain way, sleeping a certain way, working out a certain way, doing certain things long before they ever looked like that bodybuilder. Like you have to be the type of person who can have the type of things that you want long before you're ever going to get those things. And there people have the saying, the fake it till you make it. I always say that's the saying of the poors. That's how the poors view things is because you're not rich, you have no business acting like you're rich. Or why are you getting up early if you're not making a bunch of money? It's like I don't get up early because I make money. I get up early to allow myself to make money. I go to the gym to get in shape, not go to the gym because I'm in shape. Mm-hmm. So, but people have this order backwards. And then you see people talk about, I've been working at this job for X number of years and I haven't got a promotion. And this new person came in and they got a promotion after a few months. And it's because of racism or whatever nonsense it is like that. But most people are only willing to work the job at the level of the job that they have, and then they wonder why they're not getting promoted to do more. It's like you haven't shown that you could do more. You've shown that you can do what it is that you were doing. So why would I give you the opportunity to do more when I don't have no idea that you could do that? You have to do more before you get more. Mm-hmm. Always.
So if I'm the average guy, I'm sitting across from me right now, and I say to you, well, yeah, that makes sense, but you don't understand my situation. You don't understand where I come from and how I was raised, and let him have it.
Every single person in the world thinks that their situation is special, and nobody has a special, unique situation. Your excuses are not more valid. Your past is not more difficult. Your addictions are not more addictive. None of that shit. It just feels like it is because it's personal to you. But you fall into the exact same category as everybody else. You were fucking up in the exact same way as everyone else. You were falling short the exact same way as everybody else. And you were beholden to the same laws and rules as everybody else. You could have had the worst childhood in the world, and that's all amazing, and that's fucking fine. But the fact of the matter is, if you're an addict, you need to stop drinking. If you want to get in shape, you stop lifting weights. If you want to make some more money, you have to work harder. Who the fuck gives a fuck where it is that you came from? That has absolutely nothing to do with anything. Absolutely ridiculous. Like people say it all the time, you know what I'm going, who gives a fuck what you are going through? Like that's not relevant to anything. Do you want to make more money? Yes or no? Then work. But I have X going on. Who fucking cares? The path is the same. Regardless. Figure out how to walk it or don't. Nobody fucking cares that much.
Right. I think that's the key, like you said, or don't. It's like you're not telling people how to live.
No, don't do the shit. I don't fucking care. Like,
right.
People will sit there and say like, that's not going to work for me. Okay, well fucking fine.
Yeah.
What do you want from me?
Do your thing.
I'm not trying to pursue anybody down and force them to not be a loser. If you want to fail at life, that's your fucking prerogative. That's fine. If you want to struggle with bills, if you want to be a junkie, if you want to be depressed, if you want to be fat as shit forever, that's fine. I'm not going to talk you into the otherwise. I'm simply saying, here's a thing that you can do. And people are like, well, it's not going to work. Now what? Now, I don't know. Now fucking what? You tell me.
Right. There's a recipe. Use
Bake the cake.
Bake the cake or not.
Or don't have cake. Like,
right.
The fuck do you want? If people are like, well, I don't have the utensils, go buy them. Or figure out another way. Mm-hmm. Everyone didn't always have the utensils. You know, like back once upon a time, everyone's forks were stones or something. I don't know, but they figured out a way, yeah.
Right.
Like people figured out how to make a cake
because they were hungry.
With no recipe.
Right.
You have all kinds of recipes and still refuse to use any of them to make a fucking cake. Whose fault is that?
That's a great point. Yeah, that's a great point. Like, it's so hard to follow the recipe for people because they don't like the recipe and because it requires action, whatever. But that's a great point you just made. There was a time in everything where there wasn't a recipe. And, you know, there wasn't always a recipe to make a cake. Somebody had to make it from friggin' whatever they found.
But not only was it not a recipe to make a cake, at one point in time, cake wasn't even a concept. Nobody even knew what a fucking cake was. But they figured out how to make a cake.
Right. They didn't make an excuse.
Yeah, you have Google, ChatGPT, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok videos. You can find millions of ways right now to make a cake. I have never before in my life baked a cake, but I guarantee you, if I leave here, go to the store, and pull up my phone, I could bake a very good and edible cake within whatever time frame it takes to bake that cake based on the instructions. But I guarantee you, I could go to Target, I can go to Google and bake a fucking fantastic cake.
Yeah.
Fuck is your excuse?
Mm-hmm.
You have shit going on. Whoop-de-doo. I've never made a cake.
Right.
I don't even live here. Right. I can make a fucking cake, guarantee you.
For sure. It's funny how this conversation went. Now we're talking about making cake. The one thing we're not trying to do.
It's a metaphor.
Right, exactly. Clearly. So clearly your content isn't designed to make everybody happy.
No.
Right? You're not driven by, I hope more people like me.
I don't give a fuck who likes me.
Right. People do, and that's great.
Yeah.
You know, but to those that don't, You know, and I'm assuming you get a lot of comments in your when you post things of people making excuses, blaming you for this or complaining about that. Like, do you even respond? And maybe I'm sure you don't to all of them because I'm sure you have tons and tons of comments. But what do you do with that?
Which thing specifically?
Like, let me ask you this: like, if someone says, "Man, maybe you should come at that a little softer," whatever, does that ever hit you? Like, okay, maybe I need to soften my approach a little bit.
No, don't listen to it. Like, there are so many things in this world. You know how many things that I see that I don't want to see, and then I just don't watch anymore. Like, there are so many things, and this is part of the reason that I would never respond to and or accommodate a request such as that. Like, you need to soften this because people tell me all the time, you need to curse less. You need to no, don't listen then. That's perfectly fine. But I do not agree with the mindset behind that, which is that what you are saying is good. I like the message. I just don't like the way in which you are delivering it because it makes me feel a certain way. And I'm a big believer in who cares how a thing makes you feel if it's useful to you.
Right.
Doesn't matter. Like, I hate the thing of it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Who cares? Yeah. I would tell. There's so many times in my life that I've told people something that was objectively useful advice, and they were like, "Well, I didn't listen because I didn't like the way that you said it." It's like, so you chose to shortchange yourself because you did not like the way in which advice that you believe was good was delivered to you at me. Like, what's the problem?
I said 500 words, and 499 of them could change your life.
Yeah, and you didn't.
But there's one you didn't like, so you're not going to listen.
Yeah, people would tell me like you didn't sound very compassionate when you said that. Well, first and foremost, if I didn't care about you, I wouldn't have told you to bet your life or just watch you be a dickhead and fuck it up on your own. That's. So I don't agree with the premise of that. But the point is, who cares how it sounds? Like, I have worked with people when I was doing real estate and whatnot who did not like me as a person, but it's like we're gonna make some money. What the fuck do I care how you feel about me? This is useful. I'm trying to further my life, not to win a popularity contest.
But you said something a second ago I want to touch on.
Yep.
You said if I didn't care about you, I wouldn't be doing this anyways, or something along those lines.
Yeah.
Right?
If I wasn't trying to be helpful,
So you genuinely do care. There's a demographic out there that you're genuinely. This isn't you just spouting off the things that you believe in. It is, but there's a point to it. You're genuinely trying to help somebody. Is that fair?
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right. So my answer to this, or my response to this, I guess, is twofold. As of this moment, I might have another fold as I get to talking. But so some people will respond to, like, I'll put up a video and some people will leave a comment. They'll be like, well, you just like hearing yourself talk or something along those lines. And yes, they are correct. I absolutely do love hearing myself talk. I think that I speak very well. I like the things that I say and I like the way that I say them. And I like watching videos of myself doing it. However, I am also trying to, like, I talk about very specific things. Like, I'm not just sitting here on there talking about my feelings about the latest Star Wars movie or whatever the fuck. I'm saying things that benefited my life and viewpoints that I have adopted that have allowed me to further myself and better my situation. And I am sharing those things in the hopes that somebody will hear it, somebody will take it and apply it to their own life and do something, whether that's no longer drinking, whether that's getting in shape, whether that's making some more money, whether it's not crying about the past, whatever it is. If someone takes, I hope that someone will take something that I say and apply it to their life and better themselves in some way.
And I'm sure you get a lot of feedback, a lot of positive feedback.
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
that sense as well, right? And so some of the things that I think society, I know we agree on this, but I definitely want to get your insight on this. There are things that society has told people, and let's talk about young men especially, that are important, that people like you and people like myself believe are not important. Sports, Star Wars, whatever, like you just said.
Yep.
How big of a problem do you think that is for development of men in general? But because people my age at 50 years old are still can tell me every stat about some player that they have never met before for some reason. I personally don't make room in my brain for that information, and I'm assuming you agree, but let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah, so there are so many people who swear they have absolutely no idea what to do or how to better their lives, whether that comes to working out, making money, improving their relationship, even just not crying about random shit like a bitch. But then by the same token, they know all of the shows that are out on Netflix. They know every single sports game that is taking place. They know the sports bowl and when it's had the super sport, whatever the fuck, sports thing, and when it's happening, and all the stats of all the players and where it is that they went to college, and they know all of the characters from X video game, and they're getting ready to play Grand Theft Auto 6 or 7 or whatever the fuck, whenever it comes out, in whatever point in time it comes out. And this is all it is that they sit here and talk about. They sit online and they trade videos back and forth of nothing, and people sitting there gossiping and watching unboxing videos or watching somebody react to somebody else's song and all of this other nonsensical stuff. And they make time for nothing but bullshit. And at the end of the day, people hate the saying we all have the exact same 24 hours in a day, but we do. Like, this is an objective fact. This is the fucking clock. Like, nobody sits here and controls this. People are like, well, people have different things going on. Yes, absolutely. But you choose to use your time stupidly. And there are some people who are not even willing to accept or entertain the idea that they could do something other than consuming entertainment. Like, I have talked to people before who are like, they want to do something better. It's like, well, you could do X, Y, Z at X time. And they're like, no, this is at the end of the day. This is when I watch TV. This is when I unwind. Or they're not willing to do anything other than that. And they would rather focus on all of this nonsense than try to better themselves. And from a societal perspective, I think that from the time that you are a child, you're taught or conditioned to want to fit in with a group of people. But everyone is taught that in order to do that, then you keep up with sports or you play video games or something along those lines. It's never anything about improving yourself, because as soon as you want to improve yourself, you're ostracized from the group, right? If you're the friend who drinks all of the time and gets blackout drunk at parties and whatnot, then everything's cool. But as soon as you don't want to do that anymore, you want to start sobering up and going to the gym early, then you're weird and you're obsessed and all of this crazy nonsense, so they kick you out. So I think that people are very, not even so subtly, but subtly conditioned to not want to better themselves and to focus on nothing but nonsense, the bread and circus, so to speak.
And then they appear to be a failure. They appear to be incapable of certain things. They appear to be stupid. But if you kind of reverse engineer that, it's like, man, all that information that you can retain, stats, who played when and what they did and how they did, and all that useless information, if you replaced that information in your brain with useful information, what an impact that could have on your life.
Well, I think this goes to as a whole, right? Like, very few people are lacking the necessary skills or character traits to be successful in whatever area of life they want. They just apply them to the wrong things. Mm-hmm. For example, people go and like you said, people go and memorize all of the sports player stats and all of this whatnot and all the video game stuff, rather than sitting there. Like, you can use this, the exact same mind that is capable of remembering this is also capable of learning in depth how the stock market works and how you can trade options and all of this and everything like that. It is people talk about discipline, but as a whole, everybody is disciplined. Most people just use their discipline for things that they don't want to do, right? Like, 9 out of 10 people wake up early during the week and go to work every single day to a job they don't want to go to. They wake up before they want to wake up. They put on clothes they don't want to go put on. They go to a job they don't want to work at and answer to a boss that they don't want to answer to and do things that they don't want to do. All of that is functionally discipline. And they do that every single day without a second thought. They make absolutely zero excuses. So everybody is disciplined. Everybody is consistent. People do things without motivation all the time because, again, the job thing. You have no motivation to go to work, but you sit there and do that every single day because you have to. You don't even think that it's another option. So people have all of these things. They just won't apply it to the proper things. Mm-hmm. They just don't apply it to things that will better themselves. Even like, I'm a big believer in taking things that you have and making them work for you. Like, I used to be a very big procrastinator. And I still am. I just procrastinate the things that I know that I shouldn't do. So whenever I'd be like, well, I want to go, I want to have this big ass bowl of ice cream. Well, I'm like, I'll do that tomorrow. And whenever tomorrow comes, I'll have this ice cream. But for now, I'm going to eat whatever it is that I am supposed to eat. I want to skip my workout, but I'll skip my workout tomorrow. Today, I'll go to the gym.
Right.
So you just have to make things work for you. But most people don't want to do that.
Yeah, I've honestly never heard. I think some of that. Well, I'm going to talk about your book in a second, but I think some of that stuff is in your book actually, because I've heard that before, and I've never heard it in my life until now, and it's a brilliant twist on it, to be completely honest. Like, those are, if that's your curse, make that your blessing, right? It's fine.
Yeah,
maybe it's your curse. It isn't, but maybe it is. And if it is, why not use it and procrastinate the right things? That's
make it work for you, whatever it is.
Right. Right. If so, like we talked about habits a little bit too, yesterday, and how really everything is based on that.
Everything is habit. Yeah, 1,000%.
Right. Even playing video games,
Habit.
It's a habit, right?
Yep.
And so it's like we talked about like how people, and again, this is in your book, which I'm going to talk about in a few seconds, but people can dedicate themselves to spending hours, and 12 hours straight sitting on a video game because that's the habit that they've created. Where someone like myself, I literally it would be torture to spend 12 minutes on a video game. Not because I don't even want to say like I'm better, I'm worse, I'm this, I'm whatever. It's just that's not a habit that I've developed.
Mm-hmm.
So that's outside of like normal. It's outside of like what feels like even remotely like what I'm supposed to be doing. Right? So I imagine if people spent that same amount of energy, you're not gonna go like if playing video games 12 hours a day was beneficial to me in some way. If tomorrow something just came out and said, yeah, if you do that, you're going to make more money, you're going to be smarter, you're going to be all these things. I'm like, shoot, I guess I better learn how to do that. I'm probably not going to go spend 12 hours day one. I might go spend 20 minutes and then 45 minutes and just kind of build up the tolerance, start building those habits, right? And that's a silly example, but flip that on its head and it makes perfect sense, right? For anything, going to the gym, all the other things.
Well, no, it does make perfect sense. And it is a great example because at the end of the day, nothing is easy, nothing is hard. Not blanketly, not factually. Things are what you have conditioned them to be. Because going to the video game example, right? I don't play video games. I could not sit somewhere and play video games for 12 hours straight. That's absolute insanity to me. But there are people who do that. There are people who do more than that. It's not specifically because video games are universally fun or it's something you can universally sit down and do. It's because they have conditioned themselves to play video games for that long, to sit there and twirling on their little controller or whatever the case may be. I'm not specifically trying to sound degrading about it, but they have dedicated themselves to that, so it's easy to them. But I have not been exposed to that, so it is not easy to me. Difficulty is as a whole based on level of exposure, right? So going to the gym seems difficult because you don't go to the gym. But the more that you go to the gym, the easier that it will become to be somebody who goes to the gym. Not saying that all of your workouts will be easy, but the hardest part of going to the gym is the mental battle before it happens. That's much more difficult than the workout. But once you've conditioned yourself to be somebody who goes and you just go as second nature, then you get over that because you will have conditioned yourself for that. Same thing with waking up early, right? Like I used to sleep in all of the time. I used to always want to be somebody who got up at 5 a.m., but I never did. And I started getting up at 4 a.m. And I've been doing that for years now. And now I can't sleep in, right? So there are some people who be like, it's absolute insanity to me that you wake up at that time. To me, it's insane that you sleep past that time. But that's just because what it is that we have conditioned ourselves for. It's all of these things. Most people just condition themselves for the wrong things. And the things that they condition themselves to do happen to be the things that are more fun up front because they don't want to do the much more difficult part, the front loading the difficulty so that they get the better stuff at the end.
Mm-hmm. So what's the personal? I see a ton of advantages, and again, you and I are aligned in so many ways, but I see the advantages of it. And if I'm some young man listening to this and or your content and going, okay, I'm gonna go down that path. I want a different life. What are some of the costs that he has to be prepared to pay? And what I mean by that is, relationships, people are so concerned with being surrounded by a lot of people, right? And I imagine when you think and analyze and operate in the way you do, there's not a lot of people on a daily basis that you can just associate with or would want to associate with, right? Would that be something you would tell someone, hey, I don't want to use the word lonely because that's a negative word, I guess, but it is lonely when you separate yourself from the herd. You're alone. Let me rephrase that. It's not lonely, but you're alone, and that's something I think some people would have to condition themselves to as well.
Yeah, and so that's I see people talk about that all the time, right? With the how to deal with losing people and everyone not being able to go with you along your journey. And I don't personally think that's as big of a deal as people make it out to be. Like, I understand that it seems that way if you're somebody who's used to being surrounded by people all of the time. But personally, I believe that is a product of not being happy with yourself, with who it is that you are, because most people cannot deal with being alone because they are not good with themselves, which is why they want to surround themselves with people all the time. They need all of the outside stimulation. But even in that aspect, right? Like by and large, it's a quality over quantity thing, right? Like you could be surrounded with lots and lots of people, or you can know a couple of good people. And if you're not used to that, then the trade-off might seem like something that you don't understand. But once you make it, then you will understand that having 2 good relationships is worth more than having 2,000 casual ones, right? Like if you think about gourmet food and you go to a supermarket, 99% of the food in the supermarket is garbage. There's just a few things in there that are any sort of benefit to you, that are good for you. You get the meat, you got the vegetables, you got some rice, everything else is trash, right? It's the exact same thing in real life. 99% of people are that garbage food. It is just the 1% that you're going to be able to relate to. So yeah, when you go down a certain path, you automatically alienate certain people.
Right.
But ultimately, you are much better off without said people. And it gives you access to people who you never would have been able to be around before. And when you get around them, you will find out those people are much better for you than all of those other people that you're leaving behind.
Right. No, quality versus quantity, I think, is a perfect way of summarizing that, because people are used to being surrounded by people that are more than likely not good for them. And I think the description of the grocery store is a great example. You know, they're surrounded by cookies and chips and all that garbage.
So much food in there, but all of it's trash.
But it's comforting, right? To some people. But when you separate, you have to let all of that go if you want said result.
Yes.
Right. But either way, there's a sacrifice. So you sacrifice that, or you sacrifice your future. You sacrifice your experience on this planet.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? Is everything has a cost. It's just, what price do you want to pay? Like if you decide you want to get in shape, yeah, you have to give up certain fun things, and you have to give up, I don't know, maybe sleeping all of the time or eating whatever it is that you want to, but you gain your health, you gain confidence, you gain discipline, you gain a nice aesthetic, you get to be somebody that you're pleased with looking at. So it's just and then the opposite direction, yeah, you cannot do that. But then what you're sacrificing is those exact same things: your health, your self-image, your confidence, your discipline, all of those things. So there's always going to be a price to pay for whatever it is that you choose. Nothing is free, good or bad, negative or positive. Everything costs.
For sure. So, you're very, confident in the things that you say, right? And because I'm assuming you've lived most of them, so you know from personal experience, and you're obviously very well read as well. But how is it to teeter that line between confidence and arrogance? And do you even care to teeter the line?
No. So I think that I'm personally a believer that arrogance is only a problem if you lack self-awareness. Like, if you're running around thinking that you're amazing or doing amazing stuff, you're just some fat loser, then yeah, maybe you shouldn't be arrogant, because why are you arrogant? But if you're actually correct about things, or you've actually done something worthwhile, then I don't see what the problem is with having some degree of what people will call arrogance about you. I think that people just put a negative connotations on various form of confidence because they don't have it, and people feeling good about themselves makes other people feel bad about themselves. This is why people want to run around and tell people to humble themselves all the time. It's like, well, why? I work hard. I do difficult things. I do exactly what it is that I say I'm going to do. Why should I not be pleased about this? Why should I not say anything about this if this is what floats my boat to say a thing about? I have done these things. Why can't I talk about it? I don't care how it makes you feel. That's a you problem.
Right. No, you're right. And you've earned it, right? Like, I think you're right. If the arrogance you typically find in the guys, LARPing, right? They're out showing off their whatever car, but they still live with their parents, or they talk about fitness when they're not fit. Those guys come off as arrogant because they don't know what it actually is to be confident, because they have never actually done the thing.
Well, yeah, but see, those are more so that I consider arrogant. That is more so. What's the word that I want? I don't know. More so a form of like some sort of braggadociousness. Like, a lot of people are loud about stuff because that's what it is that makes them feel good about things. So I think that's very different as well. But a lot of what people will call arrogance will simply be people stating things confidently. Like you said, I'm confident about a lot of things. I say, yeah, these are things that I believe, and these are my experiences. What I need to add a bunch of qualifiers and shit to what it is I'm saying for.
All right, so I'm holding your book here. I'll show it right here. to the camera there.
It's a lovely cover.
It is. It's great. 100 mindset tricks and perspective shifts. And I've read most of it. I just got it a few days ago, but I've read most of it. And like I mentioned to you, genuinely, it's a really good book. And I have lots of people on the show with different books, and they're all, they've all been good books, but this is one that I'm going to buy dozens of copies and give to a lot of people in my life, because I think the way in which you wrote it, the way in which you word things, I happen to love the fact that it's in your face. Even me, I'm not perfect, right? So if I read something like, oh, you got me, Jason.
Yep.
But that's what people need, right? People
1000%.
People who are receptive to that, that's what they need. And the other great thing about it is the way you have it set up is all these short reads. I think you referred to them as essays, when short essays of each of these topics. And someone could pick it up and, who isn't a reader, in my coaching, in my business adventures, I talk to people all the time about the importance of same thing that you talk about: going to the gym, eating right, reading, watching good podcasts, whatever, things like that are going to improve your experience, improve your knowledge, make you a better human being. And so many people that I deal with on a daily basis want to do, if I give them 10 things and working out and reading are 2 of them, they might do the other 8 and then complain that the result isn't the same as I had told them they would have. And I still can't wrap my head around that. I know we talked about that briefly yesterday too, but it's if someone's going to give you a peek behind the curtain and say, do these 10 things, and there's a high likelihood you're going to have a good result. And they're like, yeah, I know you've done that, but I'm going to do 8 and expect the same result.
Mm-hmm.
Do you deal with that a lot? And I guess I'm kind of rambling now, but like, your book gives someone the ability who says, I'm not a reader. Cool. Read 5 pages, 6 pages, because that's a couple of short essays. So you're still getting some good information versus read a couple chapters, 20, 30, 50 pages at a time or something like that. Mm-hmm. It's a great opportunity for people who aren't readers to pick up a book and read. Mm-hmm. So that's another thing I like about how you structured this. But do you deal with that a lot? Let me back up. Why'd you write the book? Like, there's so much here. I mean, 100 mindset tricks. And there's literally, when you open a book, it lists them all out. Yeah. And it was a little overwhelming for me going, oh my gosh, you're going to talk about 100 different topics in this book. And that must have been a lot of thought for you to put this together.
Yeah. So in all honesty, whenever I first decided I was going to do it, I was like, it was meant to be just like 10 pages or something like that, where I was just going to have like, here's a thing, a quick little couple sentences about it. And then I went to the first one and I started writing it, and I was like, just type everything that popped to my head. It happened to be a little bit longer. So I was like, interesting. That's not really going to work out the way it is that I wanted to. So I just wound up naturally expanding upon the ideas. But one of my favorite books is The Art of Living by Epictetus. He's a Stoic philosopher, and it's set up in such a way that each chapter is like a page or 2 where it's just like, here's a perspective on life. And I really like that because I'm a very, as we talked about earlier, very straightforward to the point kind of guy. Like, I've read a lot of self-help books or things like that I personally felt could have been summarized in a paragraph. Mm-hmm. And so when I do things, when I put out things, when I say things, I like to do things in a way that I would like them, that I would like to receive them. So if I am somebody who would like to receive this whole entire 500-page book in a paragraph, why not just, I'm sure other people think the same thing too. So let me just put a bunch of these paragraphs together. And there you go. Here's a bunch of quick little things. It's not meant to be like some thing. It's kind of just like a reference. You could go back. I got XYZ going on in my life. Let me see if there's a thing in here that could help me give me a different perspective on this, or a different thought process on this, something like that. It's a little reference guide.
And I will tell you, in the short time that I've been reading it, I found a couple things already that I've done that. I went back, dealing with things with people that I work with and stuff. And I'm going to find it real quick here. Maybe. It's supposed to be hard, I believe was one of them.
Yes.
And so many people on a daily basis tell me how hard something is. Yeah. And I say the same thing. What's supposed to be hard, this is this and that's that. And then I come across that little short chapter and I'm like, oh yeah, these guys are in trouble. I'm just going to verbatim read this to them.
Yep, there we go.
And again, it's there's so many great tools in here that genuinely it's I can't recommend it enough, truthfully. And that's not because you're a guest on the show and I'm trying to, butter you up. It's genuinely a good read.
Much appreciated.
And I think a lot of people, and I focus a lot on young men because I think there's a huge need there for our future. I think they should definitely read this book, but so should old men, so should women, so should everybody, anybody who wants the truth told to them.
Anybody who can read.
Yeah, that would help. Yeah. If you can read and you want to even consider having a better experience than you're having in your life right now, this is a great start. I'm going to show it one more time. Where can they get the book, by the way?
It is on Amazon.
Okay.
And also you get it's in the what's called my bio link on my Instagram page and all of my other social media. So the Jason Lamar bio link and or Amazon 100 mindset tricks and perspective shifts.
Great. So
audiobook coming soon.
Really?
Yeah.
I struggle with that, to be honest. Like I get it. So many people are used to that, but I tell people all the time when I assign them a book and they're like, "Can I do the audiobook?" And I'm like, "No."
Oh yeah, so I personally I don't listen to audiobooks.
Yeah.
I'm not an audiobook person. I like to read. But people like audiobooks and people have requested the audiobook. So fucking audiobook.
But I guess you agree that there's something to be said about sitting down.
A physical book. Yeah. I even prefer physical books to like what's it like Kindles, ebooks or whatever the case may be. Like if I could only read something that way, I'll read it that way. But I prefer a physical book. It's a different feeling, and I feel like I'm learning more. Maybe it's just a thing in my head. Maybe it's just because I'm old. I don't know.
Well, I think there's something to be said about carving out a certain amount of time and dedicating it to the reading.
Yeah.
Versus, I'm going to put the audiobook on while I'm working.
Well, that's people have this weird debate: is audiobooks reading books? And no, that's stupid. It's not reading a book. It's listening to a thing, but it's not the same thing to me. It's like it's functionally a podcast.
Yeah, true.
And a podcast and reading are not the same,
for sure.
And I also don't think that it stimulates your brain the same way. Mm-hmm. So,
all right. So let's have a couple of fun ones here.
Yes, beautiful.
Some rapid fire questions.
Okay.
The staple in most podcasts, right?
Let's do it.
What's your morning routine?
Ooh, so I wake up 3:53 a.m. I walk down my stairs. I turn on my coffee maker and I wait for like 2 minutes to pour myself some coffee. I do 100 push-ups and then I go to my garage and I work out. Then I go and I walk my dog. Then I read a bit of something. Then I shower and go do work.
Every day?
Every day.
3:53. What's the deal with that?
So originally I was waking up at 4 a.m., but I have a physical alarm clock that I set, like actual like physical alarm clock. It's across my room. But as time went on, it got faster. So the clock got faster. Yeah.
Okay.
So what I thought was 4 a.m. was actually like 3:56, 3:57, whatever the case may be. And by the time that I realized that the alarm was faster, it had already been 3:53. So I was like, I'm just going to keep it that way. And then also the number 3:53 bothers me because it's not an even number or anything like that.
Right.
And I also keep it because it would be perfectly justifiable to sit there and say, well, I'm just going to snooze until 4 a.m. So that's another reason I make sure I get up at 3:53 a.m. It's a stupid time.
Right. But deliberate at the same time.
Yep.
So I think that's an important point to make. Like all of those things you just said are deliberate.
Yeah, of course.
This is not you don't just roll out of bed at 3:53. You get out of bed at 3:53. You committed to yourself to do that, and you walk downstairs. You do that routine, that system on a daily basis.
Yes, and for the record, for people who want to know, I hate it almost every single day. So, but I do it anyway because it's life. Do things anyway.
Right. Do what other people don't, and you'll accomplish what other people
absolutely won't.
How about some favorite books?
Okay, so my favorite book. So I don't know if this is specifically a favorite book, but one of the books that led me down my current path is a book called The Slight Edge. So I always recommend that, and I always want to give that book a lot of credit. As far as favorite books goes, Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. I think it's like James Murphy or something along those lines. But The Power of Your Subconscious Mind is a great book. Discourses, Stoic philosophy book. That's Epictetus, The Art of Living, Epictetus Meditations, Marcus Aurelius. Definitely my book right here, 100 Mindset Tricks and Perspective Shifts. We're just going to plug myself.
Absolutely.
Anti-Fragile is a really good book with a really good concept, but I think that it is way longer than it needs to be if I'm just going to sit here and be book critic man while I'm doing this. So
Okay. Great. Yeah, those are some great titles. I've read about half of those, but I'm going to get after the other ones. So that brings up something that I wasn't sure if I was going to bring up today or not,
Beautiful.
but now I'm going to.
Let's do it.
Outwitting the Devil.
I love that book.
I have read that book,
Okay.
and I like that book.
Yeah.
You made a post a couple weeks ago
Uh-huh.
where you talked about praying specifically.
Yep.
And I'll let you kind of elaborate on what the post was,
Okay.
if you don't mind.
Going to the gym is prayer. Getting up early is prayer. Fasting, abstaining, and making sacrifices is prayer. Getting on your knees and helplessly pleading to the sky is not. Despite what you've been brainwashed into believing, salvation is reserved for those willing to save themselves, which is why no matter how much you bargain and beg for blessings, God will never give you anything that you haven't earned. But if you put in the work without saying a word, you'll receive everything you're after. They say faith without works is dead, but in reality, there is no faith without works, because work is faith, just like action is prayer. All that other shit that you do with your hands clasped is just elaborate wishes. And, well, the streets are full of homeless people who wish they weren't.
I mean, yeah, the premise of the post was that action is what prayer actually is, because if you are to go under the belief that God will answer your prayers, then your actions are what it is that actually brings it about. Because if you just sit there and beg for things without doing anything, you're going to get nothing. And then by extension would have to believe your belief that God is going to answer your prayers is wrong.
You guys get all that? Sometimes when Jason talks, you just need to take a second and catch up, because it makes perfect sense. And I'm gonna elaborate on it because
I can simplify it if we need it to be that.
Yeah, let's simplify it to the dummies in the room.
Okay. I'm gonna go one step at a time.
Yeah, to Javier, he's a dummy over there.
I'm gonna.
He raised his hand. I said dummies at myself, but
I'm going to go one step at a time. We'll take the prayer side, right? So when most people think about praying, they think about sitting down and verbally and or in their head requesting things. And people believe that God will answer your prayers. However, if you just sit around and request things without doing anything, your prayers will never be answered. For example, there are people who find out that they are going to lose their home due to the fact that they did not pay their bills, and they take zero other actions, and they sit there and they pray to God all day, all night, not to lose their home, and they lose their home because they didn't do anything. Now, if you believe that that's what prayer is, by extension, you also have to believe that God is not going to answer your prayers, because if that's all you do, you're not going to get a thing. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, if you take the same person, for example, who thought that they were going to lose their house, and they go out and they do everything that they can think of to keep their house, there are people who do that and keep their house. They wind up not losing their house because they took action. However, those same people have gone out and done that without ever sitting there saying a single word of traditional prayer and gotten their prayers being their actions answered. So they wound up keeping the house that they set out not to lose. So if you believe that God answers your prayers and you go out and you take action and you get what it is that you were after, then it only makes sense to believe that the true form of praying is taking action, because action is what it is that gets you what you want. If you ask and take no action, you will get nothing. But if you take action without asking, you will get everything.
okay.
You can't take action and ask, I guess, at the same time.
Right. which will be the one, the thing that I would add from my own personal perspective is a little bit of both. But I agree with you 100%. And like I mentioned, I had a pastor in here a few weeks ago who's a fairly high profile pastor, very controversial pastor, because he's a lot like you in the sense he says it like he believes, and a lot of people don't like it. But we talked about prayer, and we talked about action specifically. And again, a pastor who this is his everything, pray and then do the thing.
Do a thing.
Don't just pray, because that's not his exact words were, that's not how this works. So, and I think you're onto something for sure in that aspect. I mean, I know you are. And I think a lot of people miss that. There's a a little joke. It kind of goes around in the Christian world, if you will, of a guy on an island, and you've probably heard about it. And the flood's coming, and he's sitting on an island, right? And he's like, a boat comes up and says, "Hey, hop in." He's like, "No, I'm good. I already prayed. God's going to save me." And the boat guy goes, "All right." And he takes off, and a few minutes later, a bigger boat comes. Water's coming up higher. And he's like, "Hey, I'm here to save you." "Oh, that's good. I've been praying. God's going to send someone to save me." Okay, and then it's up to his ankles now, and a helicopter shows up. "Hop on." He's like, "I prayed. I'm going to be good. God's here to save me." Of course, the water rises, and the dude drowns. And he goes to heaven and says, "What happened, God? I was praying." And he goes, "Yeah, I sent you 2 boats and a helicopter. What more do you want from me? Get in the thing." And I think it's a humorous way of looking at it, but even that, take action, or see the opportunity and take advantage of the opportunity that's in front of you, or create an opportunity. Swim if that's what you have to do.
See, this is I've seen a variant of the thing that you were talking about. Is basically it's 2 people on an island, and one dude says, or one of them is trying to get off. He's like, "We're going to do something to get off," and the other dude is like, "No, I'm going to pray and God got me," right? So then the other dude, he's like, "Okay, whatever." And then he goes off and he builds a boat, and then the dude, or the premise of it is, God sent that dude someone to build his boat. But if you look at this and you remove the dude who was praying and you just leave the dude who was acting, he still would have gotten the boat and gotten off the island. But if you remove the dude who did a thing and just left the dude who was praying, he would have been stuck on the island. So once again,
you can't argue your point.
Who took the action? If you believe your prayers will be answered, who took the action of prayer? Was it the one asking, or was it the one doing?
Right.
Who was praying?
Yeah. I mean, I can't, being a Christian guy who believes in prayer, I can't deny the importance of the action. For sure. It's an undeniable argument, and it's not an argument per se, but
it's perspective.
It's a perspective, and it's you can't deny it, And I think even with the pastor and I, we talked about that, and I think we landed on, it doesn't necessarily mean that God can't, but God won't. More times than not. Like, again, if you believe in God, he can do certain things, but name a time when he has, when you didn't do anything for it. There's very, very few times in history where anyone can say that happened.
Well, I mean, I think even through that same perspective, right? You can, if you want to take it through a what God is or is not doing perspective, then you could look at it as you went out and did a thing because God granted you the ability to. He granted you the body that you have that's able to go out and do these things, and the mind that's able to conceive the thoughts that led to you taking the actions and all of that whatnot. So it could still be God allowed you to do this thing or enabled you to do this thing, just in a much different way than people are expecting. Like, oh, I prayed for a house, so God, just manifested a house in front of me. It's more so that I wanted to go get a house. I went out and took the actions, did all of the things necessary, and God has put me in a place where I'm able to do those things. They have given me a body that I'm able to use to do those things, and a mind that can work to allow me to do those things, and the ability to see clearly enough to figure out a way to go do those things. So it can still coexist. It's just in the manner in which that you are looking at it. And I personally resonate more with the I gave you the ability to walk a path, so go out and walk it type thing, then I'm just magically going to do shit.
Right. Whether he, she can or cannot isn't the point.
Yeah, no, it doesn't matter, because there's a lot of people who sit there. I get DMs from people all the time. It's like, yo, I need $1,000. Can I give you $1,000? No. Will I? I mean, yes. Will I? No.
Right. Right. Exactly. And I guess the same thing. It applies in endless scenarios. If you look at a middle-aged guy out of shape, kind of loser, doesn't have anything going for himself, and he prays for a woman. He prays for a beautiful wife someday. It's not going to happen.
No.
But if he prays, then gets up and goes to the gym,
starts working on himself,
then gets better, then starts making money, then starts becoming a better person, his prayers are magically answered more times than not, right? So it's definitely not a debate in that sense, but I think the common ground is action's an important ingredient. The most It's a very important ingredient.
It's still Bible quote: "Faith without works is dead." Like, there's no point if you're just going to sit. Like,
right.
And at some level, you also have to sit there and think about it too, right? Because to what degree do you truly believe in a thing if you're not willing to put in any work behind said belief? Like if you believe all things are possible through God, why would you not be trying to do all things?
Great point.
If you believe God's got you, God's looking out for you, then what is it that you are worried about? Like so many people who are afraid of failure, but also claim to be religious and all of this at the same time. Well, you believe that God has your back, so what are you afraid of failing for? Just go out and do a thing. That's
actually a great point and a great actual test of faith. Like, so you say you have faith, you say God's got you.
Why aren't you acting
you're
like
afraid to step out and
That's
take
what I'm saying.
a chance.
Exactly. Why are you worried?
Great point.
So I'm a big, like, I think that most people misuse their beliefs or the beliefs that they have. Like if you believe all of these things, if you believe God is going to grant you what's for you and protect you what's not from you, then why are you afraid of failing? Because by your own belief, if you go out and something doesn't work out, this is God saying this is not what it was that's for you. So why are you afraid of this? Yeah. Why are you afraid of being rejected? Because your own belief says that that is God telling you that this is not the woman, person, whatever the case may be for you.
Right.
So that's what we were talking about before. I don't think that most people truly believe the things that they think they believe. They kind of just adopt them without thinking them all the way through. Yeah. But a lot of different things can coexist.
Okay. Yeah, that's all came from, outwitting the devil, right? That we went off on that tangent, so let's get back on some rapid fire stuff. What's your biggest pet peeve? Just walking around, something that just drives you nuts when you see people doing. Or you can have a few if that helps.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Well, my biggest pet peeve. You know what? The funny thing is, these are things that pop into my head randomly. Like I do have answers to this. I just can't think of any of my answers to this right now. My biggest pet peeve. I hate when people try and assign their worldview onto me or try and make me fit into whatever it is, little boxes that they have decided to view life through. I think people do that with most things. I think that's a big problem with the world today. Is very, very bothersome to me. I do not like people who lack any degree of self and or situational awareness. Like you're just, walking through a grocery store or something like that, and someone is completely oblivious to the fact that they're not the only person in the grocery store. Is absolutely infuriating to me.
Yeah, that makes sense. Just self-awareness, like you said, and just understanding that there are other people that need to get by, get out of the way.
And, you know what? My third thing is I don't like people who think that they are the exception to every single rule. Like people, I think we talked about this briefly, but everyone on some level understands that excuses don't matter, but everyone thinks that their excuses are the exception, or their childhood's the worst, or their addiction is the most addictive, or anything along those lines, or they're the one person who truly doesn't have enough time, but everyone else is just me. I don't like that.
So now you've just made me think of two different posts I've seen you do that I want to talk about.
Okay.
One of them is, well, you've talked about this topic a number of times. Your past is different than mine. History is this. All those things. You have a really interesting insight on that. On basically that your past isn't even real.
Nope.
Please elaborate on that because I think that's very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, so functionally, the only thing that is real, the only thing that truly exists, the only thing that's truly happening is this current moment that you are in now. It's the only thing that you can affect. It's the only thing that you could truly even prove is a thing. Right? Like if you could take a picture of now, you have pictures of the past, but they're just a bunch of little screenshots. And even if you want to go from like a scientific perspective, I know a bunch of people love their little studies or whatnot. They say it's impossible for you to remember your memories accurately. And every time that you remember something, it gets further and further away from what it truly was. So if that's true, you can't even accurately recall what happened to you. How real is it? And anything that's not happening in this current moment is of absolutely no relevance. Like, for all intents and purposes, the world could have been destroyed while you slept and rebuilt. It doesn't matter what it used to be because this is what it is currently. This is what it is right now. So that's all that's of relevance. And I've compared it to the dream thing before. Like I've had several dreams where I get arrested or I'm about to die or something along those lines or something terrible has happened. And then I wake up and it's no longer happening. And I'm in the current moment that I'm in. The past is absolutely no different than that. It happened once. So did my dream happen once, but it's now a thing that took place in my head.
Right.
You can't even really truly prove anything happened.
Yeah, I mean this is the conversation that kept me up last night. After having this with you yesterday, because it makes sense. Like, okay, like and as you talked about last night, I'm like, man, like it didn't happen. I mean, it did, but it's not happening now. Like, and it's so hard to even express how deep that really is, you know. But how simple it is at the same time.
I mean, yeah, it's an interesting concept, but like, I don't remember when it was I thought about this. I went on a trip somewhere many years ago, and then I got back home. I'm like, man, I was just somewhere else, but also I'm here now, and it's kind of like I was never ever really there because this is where it is that I am presently.
Yeah.
And then when you think about this and you extrapolate this out to all things, it's like this does apply to all things. Like you're not eating the food that you were yesterday. You ate something yesterday. You're not still full today. So who cares? It doesn't functionally matter that you've eaten yesterday because you're hungry now. Mm-hmm. You get to a moment where you're hungry. It's like, well, you ate 2 days ago. Who cares? Doesn't matter. For all intents and purposes, no, I didn't. It doesn't benefit you any now. It doesn't affect you at all now. What's the difference with anything else?
So if that's true, which it is 24 hours ago or 8 hours ago for that matter, then how is your uncle molesting you 24 years ago affecting you on a daily basis?
Exactly.
Today?
It's not currently like you could take this in any single situation. If I walk outside right now and get shot, right? 4 minutes ago I didn't have a bullet in me, but I do now. So it doesn't matter that there wasn't one here 4 minutes ago. It's of no relevance.
Right.
None of it matters. It only matters what's happening currently. And people waste so much time focused on and obsessed with, well, this is what happened yesterday. Who fucking cares? It's today. It will only ever be today. In fact, for your whole entire life, for the entire existence of anything ever, it has only ever been today. That is the only thing that has ever existed today, right now. It's the only thing that's ever existed.
So the choices that you make, I mean, you obviously acknowledge there is a tomorrow, but when we get there, it becomes today.
It becomes today.
So the investments, the things that you do today, actual today, is so that when tomorrow becomes today, you have a better experience in that moment.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's all you can do.
Makes perfect sense. Okay. Take that one, guys. Digest that one for a few minutes. But the other thing you said, you know, when I asked you about your pet peeve, is you said that you don't like being basically put in a box or, you know, labeled a certain way, something along those lines, basically. Mm-hmm. And maybe you were talking about this, maybe you weren't talking about this, but you had a post, I don't know, a month ago or something, where you said brother a bunch of times.
I did, yes.
Let's talk about that, please.
Brother.
If you blame the white man for your problems, the white man is your God, brother. I mean, how can the white man be responsible for your position if he's not also responsible for your decisions? How can it be the white man's fault you're poor unless he has the power to make you rich, brother? I mean, if you believe the white man's holding you back, you also have to believe you need his blessing to get ahead. And you can't believe that while believing the white man's your equal, which means you believe the white man's your superior. Therefore, you're a white supremacist, brother. I mean, it seems to me that all of your black power rhetoric is about relinquishing your power to the white man. And what's the point of being Mr. Pro-Black Pump Your Fist if you're going to preach that the white man ultimately controls how you exist? I mean, if you tell someone something long enough, eventually they'll believe it and start acting accordingly. So ironically, convincing your people they're oppressed makes you the one who's oppressing your people, brother.
I love that one. I show that one all the time when they're like, the few people who don't know who you are, I'm like, this is who he is, you know.
It's very good, yes.
And it was great, you know. So I assume to some degree that's a box that you've been put in by society, by people who also look like you, that you're supposed to behave a certain way.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
And that's something that you clearly reject.
Uh-huh.
So let's talk about that. Let's make some friends.
Okay, cool. So what specific, because I have many thoughts pop into my head when it is that you say this. So what specifically are you referring to?
You're supposed to, you know, society tells you and me, because we look different, that we're supposed to think different.
Yeah.
That you're a victim and I am not.
Got it. Yep.
And it's always an uncomfortable conversation for people to have for some reason, but you put that in such a great perspective and that was one of those where I think people laugh, you know, because of the where you landed with what you said.
Yep.
And it there was some humor almost on purpose, I feel like, but I think you said it wasn't a lot of humor on purpose. But
So I mean, sometimes it is. Like I say in that particular post, like brother, I say it the way I said it because it's funny to me.
right, right. But I mean, again, like so many people buy into a certain narrative that they're told, and I think that taking that into to race, to demographic, to whatever, you're supposed to behave a certain way, you're supposed to think a certain way, you're supposed to move throughout the world a certain way, and that's just an additional thing that people have to overcome or should overcome.
I think that is a limiting belief that people are sold and people adopt as a whole. So I do not care for any degree of labels, any degree of boxes, any degree of anything like that. I do not like categorizations. I feel like they are all limiting. I feel like when we going back to the beginning, saying the man who defines himself doesn't really know himself, because when you define a thing, when you say what something is, you are saying what something is not by extension, and that is limiting. And I think that this goes into a lot of people's obsession with the past. Like when people functionally sit there and ask about your race or your ethnicity or your nationality or something along those lines, they're asking about something that you have absolutely no control over, that happened before you were ever able to make some degree of choice. And I know that, again, especially nowadays, everyone loves their racial labels and all things like this. And I reject all of that. I do not care. Like, I identify first and foremost as me. Beyond that, it is whatever it is. We can call my race whatever it is that you would like. We can call my skin color whatever it is that you like. I don't control that. In the same sense, I don't know how tall you are, and I don't give a fuck how tall you are. You did not affect your height. There are some people, it's the same thing to me. People run around about they're proud of their 6'8". Well, you didn't make yourself 6'8". You just are. Let's talk about the things that you can affect. Who is it? What is your character? What is it that you do? Things along those lines. I care about things that I can affect. I care about choices that I have made. I care about things that are a product of choices that I have made. And things like, again, my skin color and my height and all of that are not one of them. And I think that the absolute best thing that people can sit there and do is stop running around identifying with it. I'm black, I'm white, I'm Mexican. Who gives a shit? Who are you as a person? Because that's just a thing. This is the exact same thing to me as saying, well, I have bones. What do you fucking do? Everybody has bones, but you didn't give yourself bones. They're just there. No one cares. This is not interesting. This is not exciting. And the idea that you need to act a certain way or think a certain thing or have a certain set of beliefs or align with certain things because of something as arbitrary and outside of your control as the color of your skin is absolutely ridiculous to me. Going in relation to that post, yeah, there are a lot of black people who have been convinced that victimhood is a part of their identity, and I refuse to accept that shit. I don't give a fuck who anybody is. I'm going to do whatever it is that I feel like doing in this world. You could be white, Chinese, you could be a fucking Godzilla for all it is that I give a fuck. I'm going to do the things that I please. And if certain people are not okay with that, that's fine. Those people are just not for me, and I'll find different ones. Mm-hmm. I do not subscribe to the victimhood thing, and I do not subscribe to the even I don't even really subscribe to those people, our people, any of that shit, because like you didn't do this. And there are a lot of black people who are obnoxious and terrible to be around, and I don't give a fuck what color your skin is. I don't like you. There are a lot of white people who are lovely and amazing, and I don't give a fuck what color your skin is. I like you. Like what is this? This is stupid.
For sure. And it's so weird that society has been conditioned to a point where you're almost either conditioned to be proud of or ashamed of.
Yes, but absolutely.
Something like you said that you have no control of.
No control. It's absolute insanity. And I hate it when people sit there like they had, like you said, nowadays, like people, excuse me, there were black people who would talk about the white supremacy and all this thing. Right? But if you look out into society, everybody has been given some degree of oppression type narrative, right? Like, so in the same way that black people told X, there are a lot of white people who have been nowadays are convinced or conditioned to believe that they should be ashamed of the color of their skin and their ancestors did a thing, so they're terrible people. Like, you didn't fucking do it. What do I care what your grandfather? Even if it was your dad, what do I care? You didn't do that.
Right.
You don't control this. It's absolutely ridiculous to me. And I think this is just another division thing that they don't want people getting along with certain things. Because I've also talked to a lot of people from other countries, other continents, whatever the case may be, and they'll ask me about the thing that I take as, are you asking me black or whatever the case may be, but they're actually asking like American, and they're confused when you answer with something along those races, because outside of America and the Western world, people don't do that. It's not just what's your race, what's your nationality. So the nationality is like, where are you from? You know,
Right.
you're from Russia or wherever the fuck. And that's what people care about.
Which just shows you how clearly constructed it obviously has been.
Yeah, absolutely. It fully is, and so many people go along with this. And the ironic thing to me that I think I said in that post as well as a couple of others is that this is like people. The people who talk about this are the people who swear they're fighting the system. It's like you got these concepts from the system that you think that you are fighting. You're furthering this shit because you are fostering division whenever you sit there and do this. In your attempts to liberate your people, whatever the fuck it is that you were doing. It's nonsense. Just go out there and be the best version of yourself and be a good person. Do not give a fuck about any of the rest of that shit at all.
Yeah. I think I've heard it said, unfortunately, I've talked about this my entire life because it's what we're programmed to talk about your entire life. Like it just feel ashamed, feel proud. I'm proud of this or I'm ashamed of that. It's so stupid. And you just put it in a great perspective of you didn't do it.
You didn't do it.
Like you said, the guy who's 6'8", I'm 6'8". Yeah, you didn't do that. That's the one few time where you won the lottery, if you will. Who wants to be 6'8" anyways? But like, so you're 6'8", but what did you do about that? You didn't earn that.
That is the thing. Like you're proud. You didn't do it.
Right.
I don't care.
Right.
I'm in shape because I worked out.
Yeah.
I speak well because I took the time to make sure that I speak well. I'm intelligent because I took the time to learn and become perceptive in all of these things. I'm proud of these things because I did it.
Absolutely.
I didn't make my eyes the color that they are. They're just fucking that color. Like,
nor can you change them with any amount of effort.
this was it. So who cares?
Right.
What do I fucking care?
Yeah.
It's absolute insanity.
So a couple more of these quick ones.
Do it.
What's something that people get completely wrong about you?
That people get wrong about. A lot of people think I'm mean. And people think that I'm very, very mean in real life. I think that I'm a very personable person. I'm not like super friendly and just running around out there talking to everybody and that, but I'm not mean to anybody.
Right. You're not mean spirited. You're just blunt and to the point. And
Yeah,
people
I'm
receive that
blunt
mean.
as a whole, but in person I'm personable. I'm friendly to people I want to talk to, and I avoid people that I don't. But yeah, a lot of people think that I'm very mean.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
Discipline. This is a softball. Discipline or motivation?
Ooh, okay. You know what? This is a thing that I know it's supposed to be short, but I don't have a short answer to
That's
this.
okay. It's a short question, but your answer is as long as it is.
So this is a thing that I've been thinking about for a long time. Of the two, if I'm given a choice, obviously discipline is much better than motivation. However, I used to consider myself to be a very disciplined person. But when I look at things, I realize ultimately as a whole, if we're considering discipline as doing what it is that you need to do when you don't feel like doing it, ultimately I'm not that disciplined. I just kind of do things, right? I'm well past the point where I try to make any degree of excuses or talk myself out of doing anything. I just go off and do the thing with no real feeling about it. And the more that I look at it, the more that I think that ultimately the problem that people have is a faulty worldview. And I have a weird example to demonstrate what I mean of this. But every time I have ever gone into a hotel that's high up with a balcony, I walk out onto the balcony, I look over, and my first thought is always, I should jump off of this balcony. Not because I'm going to do it. It just enters my mind, right? But never have I ever done that. Not because I was motivated not to, not because I have the discipline not to. Because to me, jumping off of a balcony would be an absolutely insane thing to do, right? So it requires nothing for me to do it. In the same sense that it requires most people nothing to not actively injure themselves in some sort of obviously injurious way, right? Because these things would be insane. Like if you go to a random person and you offer them a large degree of money to stab themselves, it will be very difficult for them to stab themselves because it's an insane thing to do, right? So I view a lot of the things like skipping workouts or sleeping in or overeating or getting drunk in the exact same insane sort of way I do as stabbing myself and or jumping off of a balcony, right? I view the idea of drinking some alcohol the same as taking a sip of Windex or something. It's an absolute insane thing to me to do. So it takes me zero discipline or zero motivation to not do these things or to do these things. Because in my worldview, doing and or not doing them is absolutely insane. And I think that by and large, most people do what it is that they can justify to themselves. And this is where they wind up needing motivation and or discipline. Because it's very easy to talk yourself into skipping your workout if you can justify skipping your workout, right? So this is where they need discipline to make it to the gym to do their workout. This is where they have to force themselves to do it because they're able to justify not doing it. But me personally, I'm not able to justify not skipping my workout. So it's not even something that enters my mind. So I never have to force myself to do anything. I can't justify getting drunk, so it never enters my mind. Mm-hmm. So it's a very long-winded answer. But I think that by and large, the need for discipline is a product of a worldview that ultimately does not serve you.
Agreed. Great answer. All right, couple more here. If you could go back and speak to yourself at 20 years old, and you had 5 minutes to just go, hey, 20-year-old Jason, here's would you change anything? Because as we talk about, all the things that you've done from your birth till now were the things that were necessary to create who you are now. So would you change anything, and or what would you tell him?
Ooh. No, I wouldn't change anything. I'm very tempted to list things that I would change, but no, because it's a thing. I can't change anything. It's just a thought experiment. But as a whole, no, because I like where it is that I am currently. And if I change things, I would not be in the same exact position. I'm not be in the position that I am now. And if I tried to tell 20-year-old me something that would benefit him in the future, 20-year-old me probably would have been like, I don't know what the fuck are you talking to, even though I'm you. So he would have absolutely rejected that shit. So I would.
Meaning the you of that time wouldn't have listened to the you of this time?
Correct. Absolutely not. Yeah, he would not have listened. Like, you're me, you're doing better than me, you're in better shape than me and all of this, whatnot, but no, fuck you. I still think that'd be me. I was probably that person, again, who's sitting there asking a baker for a recipe and then rejecting what goes inside of it. Okay. So I wouldn't tell him anything, but keeping with the spirit of the question, if I was just to sit there and tell people anything, it is to take accountability for the things that you least want to take accountability for in your life. I know that a lot of people are willing to accept the concept of accountability, but everybody seems to have a line where they think like everything is my fault. Or I could take accountability for X, Y things, but Z is different. No, take accountability for that thing because it will help you grow more than any of the rest of that, any of the stuff that you're willing to accept it for. And do things that you do not like doing. And it is also very, very easy to succeed in life if you just do a little bit of stuff. But you got to try.
Absolutely. And so kind of last kind of closing thing.
Beautiful.
Is kind of tying into what you just started to say,
Okay.
And it's a cliche question, but I think that you're going to have some very insightful things to say.
Okay.
And, if all your content was deleted, if this whole show was deleted and you had the next, couple minutes to summarize your message, what people, what you hope people get from all the things that you've gone through and built and who you've become, before they go to bed tonight, what would you hope people would take from who you are?
Oh, everything in your life is your fault. Exactly where it is that you are, good and bad, you have caused. And if you have caused the bad, that means you can fix it into something good. And if you are responsible for the good, that means that you can create better.
I don't know how to wrap that up, guys. Watch this guy's content. You can't help but be drawn to it. You can't help but get better every time you listen to something he has to say. And we talk about that all the time on this show, is to find people, whether it's people personally that you are around who challenge you, who make you better. But at a minimum, you could go and check out his content. You can go pick up his book and make yourself better because, like he said, it's your fault. Your current he's got something. Let's go ahead.
No, I have thoughts on that of the thing.
Please.
The about the surrounding yourself with people and all that whatnot. Like people say you're the byproduct of the 5 people you spend the most time with or anything like that, and that's absolutely true. But for a long time, I struggled with that because I didn't really know anybody. But I have come to realize that we are living in such a time where you can spend a lot of time with somebody without ever actually knowing or interacting with them in real life. Like there are so many people you can sit there and pick up books that they have written or go down rabbit holes of podcasts that they have done or watch their content or anything like that. And that is a form of spending time with somebody. You could absorb these types of things. So it is very important, that you're not consuming a bunch of garbage online all day, because that's very, very easy. But you can go out online and find people who are doing things that you want to do and think the way that you want to think and live the type of life that you want, and functionally spend time with them. And that will have such a huge impact in your life. Because if you think about it, most people spend all of their time listening to or watching stuff that does absolutely nothing for them, whether that be music and or TV shows and all of that whatnot. And that was once me. And I replaced that music with podcasts, with books, with people who were speaking wisdom and sharing knowledge about life and giving out instructions and whatnot. And I changed what I watched to, again, podcast type things and things that were going to expand my brain and teach me things. And that has done so much for me. So I became the product of a lot of people that I spent time with without ever having met.
So now you've opened up another question for me, which is great. So who are some people that you recommend beyond yourself? Some content that people can consume that's good for them. Maybe what's your algorithm showing you?
So I don't spend a great deal of time scrolling, but I do know a lot of good people that you could follow. There's a guy named Devin Linder. I don't know anybody's Instagram handle, but he has some great world views and perspectives. Love his stuff. 19 Keys. I like Mike Rashid. I like. There's a Let's Get Naked podcast. I've done that a few times. They have very good stuff on there as well. This guy named Jeff Logan has a podcast that I listened to a lot whenever I was starting out down a certain path, and that has been very beneficial to me. Who else? I mean, it depends on what it is that you want to do. Like, because the thing is, there are so many people. Like, if you want to, I think that everybody should learn some degree of investment type stuff. If you go look at the Earn Your Leisure guys or Wall Street Trapper, they have great information with all of that stuff. But it's just so many people that you can go and learn so much from. And I know that people like to complain about social media is toxic and terrible, but at the end of the day, your algorithm is a reflection of you. If all you see is nonsense on social media, that's because you're a nonsense person who consumes nothing but nonsense. So you could in the same way that you could find people who are telling you what they're gonna wear, like they do them stupid little like get ready with me videos or whatever. You could find someone who would tell you step by step how to go start your own vending machine business. It's just what is it that you were looking for. You can find all kinds of people, and you can get in shape for absolutely free. You can learn how to eat for free. You could get so much business and advice and stuff like that for free. Alex Hormozy has great free business advice. Like,
right.
You go out and find something to better yourself. You just got to be looking for it.
Right. I think what you're saying too is social media is neither good nor bad.
I mean,
right? It's what you make of it, right? If you use it as a tool to better yourself. Now, sitting there scrolling all day long and not doing anything with it obviously is not beneficial.
No.
But if you watch your content, you watch Hormozy's content, you watch all these different beneficial things versus garbage, like you said, you can still get a benefit from it. Would you agree?
Yeah,
Obviously,
absolutely.
right.
No, 1,000%. And people look at people say this thing about social media, right? But like everybody understands to some degree. Like if you want to learn something, you go get a book, right? And where do you find a book? You find a book at the bookstore. But in that same exact bookstore, you can find philosophy, history, business, marketing books, whatever the case may be. But you can also find romance novels about women who are in love with velociraptors and stuff like that. There's nonsense in every medium, or you can educate yourself with every medium. That could be a bookstore, that could be TV, that could be the movies, that could be social media. So what are you looking for? You will find it.
Okay. Well, anything before I start closing? Anything else you've been wanting to get off your chest while we're here?
I think I'm cool right now.
Okay.
Unless you happen to say something.
I mean, there's so much. I think honestly, this is going to require a couple episodes, in my opinion. Hopefully, I can get you back again. Absolutely. Because I think I'm going to get a lot of response, a lot of questions, a lot of people are going to want to hear more about this. Who you are and what you have to say. I think there's a huge future in this for you. I was just telling someone recently, like I could see you on the biggest podcast there is.
Much appreciated.
I think your insight is very valuable and can help a lot lot of people.
That's the goal.
Yeah, I'm happy to be one of them that got you before you were too big for us. But again, guys, go check out his stuff. Before we close,
yes,
there's another thing on the things that you offer. You have your book. You also have an ebook.
I do.
And you also do some like coaching or what would you call
I
that
don't
part?
really, I don't really call it anything, but people want to call me to talk about various things.
So someone can call you and just talk, get advice, just have a conversation, basically.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. And that's all, you can find all that on your...
Yeah, all of that is in my Instagram bio, the Jason Lamar. It's in my bio for all my other stuff too. I just get the what else do I got? Facebook and TikTok and YouTube.
It's worth it, guys.
Other things, probably.
If you want to have a conversation that's going to make you really think about your perspective, about how you process so many things in your life, and you have access to someone like Jason to have a conversation like that, I don't care what it costs. I think it's worth every cent of it to get a few minutes, a half hour, whatever it is of his time to have that kind of conversation and challenge yourself. Because if you're going to bed every night having things figured out, you're missing a point. Like I said, I spent a couple hours with Jason yesterday and I couldn't sleep last night because, not in a bad way, but because like there was a lot of sparks going off that hadn't gone off in a long time.
Well, there are a lot of, now that you said it, it made me think of a thing. I think that conversations are one of the most underrated things for any degree of growth and development as a whole. Like by and large, people are a product of the conversations that they have. Like if you ever look at like low-level broke-ass people and shit, they spend all day talking about a bunch of nonsense. They complain and they whine and they talk about sports and pop culture and what Becky up the street did or whatever. It's just a bunch of garbage, right? But then you get around certain people and they talk about things that expand your mind and that lets you see that there are so many other opportunities in the world or different ways of looking at what it is that you already have, and that opens up so many new paths to you. So this is separate. This is not even specifically just a plug for like saying, hey, give me money to talk to me. Well, I'm just saying as a whole, like the types of conversations that you could have with certain people will do so much for you. And even if you sit there and look at the world as a whole, like most things are the product of conversations. Like wars happen because of conversations, and the government and the countries are built because of conversations. Like conversations are everything. And unfortunately, it's very difficult to have real ones these days because there are very few people that you talk to. But if that's something that you should also make it a point to do, is find people that you can have legitimate mind expanding conversations with.
And equally as important, avoid the ones that have
avoid
mind-numbing
the garbage, avoid the bullshit, avoid the people who just want to sit there and gossip and complain or talk shit about somebody or tell you sports stats or whatnot. Like if something is not making you better, it's making you worse. There's no such thing as an in-between. There's no such thing as maintaining or anything like that. You sink or you swim.
That's right. That's right. And it's all choices. And, to what you said earlier, and it's all your fault.
Everything.
That's... And that, how freeing is that? How liberating is that concept? Like, oh, I'm not a victim of XYZ. This is my fault.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It seems like a heavy burden to bear, to be like everything is my fault. But once you do, you find there's actually, like you said, very liberating. Because without that concept, then you what you're saying is basically that you are the feather that's just being blown around by the wind, and you are winding up wherever the universe happens to take you. Like you're broke because that's just how the universe saw fit for you to be. You're fat because that's just what God willed upon you. Whereas if you sit there and look at it and say, okay, I did all of these things, then you realize that you have created your existence, you have architected your reality. And while you might not have known what you were doing, now that you know that you have done it, you can sit there and look back and reverse engineer what you did, figure out what you need to no longer do, and then figure out what you need to do and simply do that. Everyone follows all of the steps to do things, right? You look at fat people, right? They fulfilled all of the qualifications necessary to be fat. No, I'm saying like
it's a great
you took all of the necessary steps to become a fat ass. But yes, that's terrible. It was dumb. But that also should have showed you that if you follow the necessary steps to do something, you can do the thing, because you did that accidentally. You just did all of the things properly and you wound up that. So if you do all the things properly to become fit, you'll be fit. Just how things work.
Yeah. Applies to being broke, applies to being rich.
Every single thing. Yeah. Like I say, I think this is one of the things of the book. There's no such thing as failure. People just succeed at dumb shit.
They're just really good at it.
Yeah. It's like, well, if you look at somebody, right? If you look at somebody who's Somebody is not broke because they failed to make money. They're broke because they successfully did everything it took to not have any money or to not make any money. They successfully did all of those things. You just
nailed it.
You just flip it. Yeah. Someone who is fat not because they failed at getting in shape. They're fat because they successfully did all of the things necessary to be fat. They ate a bunch of food, they skipped their workouts, they slept in, did a bunch of bullshit, and voila, they wound up as fat people. If you sit there and reverse that, then you could succeed at becoming fit. So a lot of people are like, well, I have nothing to look at from. No, you don't. Your entire life is success. It's just succeeding at completely dumb shit. Everything in your life, you've succeeded at. Most of it's just dumb.
Yeah, and I think you've said we're never going to close this, guys. Which is great. You know, he's got nowhere to be, I got nowhere to be, so we're just going to keep going. But you said the same thing about the people basically are happy.
Yes.
Or they are exactly where they want to be.
Yes.
You know, and I think most people, if you talk to them, will tell you they're not happy and they don't want to be in the condition that they're in, whatever that may be, the job, the financial situation, the physical condition, whatever.
Yeah, they're liars.
Okay.
Or they lack the self-awareness to realize this thing. But the thing is, if you didn't want to be fat, you wouldn't be. Because the idea that you don't know why it is that you're fat is absolutely stupid. Every single person, you can make all the excuses that you want. You know that you're eating too much food, but you continue eating too much food because what you truly want is food. You truly want fast food. You truly want DoorDash. You truly want pizza. You truly want donuts. You truly want to sleep in. You truly want to play video games. You truly want to do a bunch of bullshit. You have every single one of those things. Like people say they want to do better in life. You don't want to do better in life. You want to watch fucking Netflix. This is why you watch Netflix. But go look at, let something happen that you truly don't want to happen. Take any one of these single people who sit there and be like, well, no, I really want to be in shape. No, you don't. You're fat. But I guarantee you, if I stab you, you don't want to bleed to death. You're going to try and do something about it, even though you don't fucking know what it is that you need to do because you are unwilling to tolerate your stab wound, but you're willing to tolerate your fatness because you're perfectly okay with it. You're an idiot.
Right. And which of course brings up a Rockefeller quote of that I use all the time, which is, reasonable poverty is much more dangerous. I think it's reasonable suffering is much more dangerous than abject poverty.
Okay, that works too.
But the point is you have to be so disgusted, so uncomfortable, so whatever that you make a change.
And this kind of goes back to the thing that I was saying with the discipline is by and large, people do what it is that they can justify. And this is why people are able to justify their fatness, which is why they're still fat. People are able to justify their brokenness, which is why they're still broke. But if they didn't have any, like every single person you find every single person you find that is suffering from a thing has a long list of excuses. And as long as they have those excuses, they're going to continue to be where it is that they are. And they have their excuses because they're perfectly fine being where it is that they are. They're trying to justify staying there so that they can justify not going anywhere else and not doing anything else. Because ultimately, they're happy in their position. It's like if you ever been laying somewhere or sitting somewhere and you become uncomfortable, then you move. Even if you're asleep and you become uncomfortable, you will toss and turn in your sleep till you find a comfortable spot. Like you can't actually stay somewhere where you're truly uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. So if you were really uncomfortable, if you were really unhappy being fat, if you were really unhappy being broke with your drug addiction, your shitty ass relationship, like people complain about their partners all the time. They go home to the same motherfucker that they sit there whining about. It's like, how unhappy are you? He treats me like shit. Okay, but you're still there. Mm-hmm. So how big of a problem is it? Like people say all the time, like I deserve better. Well, if you deserve better, you would have better. You have what you deserve. That's why you're getting it, because you've earned it, which means you deserve it.
Yeah, truer words have never been spoken, right? I mean, it's when people call you, do people call you with those type of silly things? I'm in a relationship and and you just hit them straight like that. Obviously, do a lot of them stay in touch at that point? Like,
sometimes.
Hey, it worked. Or or do they say, you know what? Never mind. I'm done.
This is where I come to the thing that everyone believes that their excuses are the exception. Yeah. Like my situation is your situation is not worse. It's not. It's not different. Mm-hmm. It never is. But everyone thinks that it is. Mm-hmm. Some people are willing to accept that. Some people just needed to hear it to them specifically, and some people will reject it immediately because they truly believe that they were going to sit there and talk me into siding with them. It's like, no, just leave. Do whatever, but you're fucking up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so many people are afraid to, even in that situation, because you're clearly not motivated by the money of it.
Nope.
It's great that there's some money. Great. That's a necessity in the world. But you're doing it because you believe in it, because you not just believe in it blindly, but believe in it because you've seen the result of it in your own life and in other people's lives. So when someone says, this is my thing, and you say, do this, and then they say, well, I'm not going to pay you anymore if you tell me that, and you're like,
this is the thing. Like, but this is why I don't advertise these things, because I'm not like, ooh, pay me. It's like, here's the thing: you come across and you want to do it. If not, fuck it.
Yeah, right.
So I'm not going to tell you something simply because you want to hear it.
Right. Yeah, because what you said earlier is that you actually do care still.
Well, yeah, people have this stupid thing with this niceness and all of this whatnot. I think that's the absolute worst thing in the world. Like, if you actually care about somebody, then you would point it out. Like, I'm a big believer that if you are fat, you don't have any true friends, because if you had true friends, they would be like, hey, why are you so fat right now? You need to go to the gym. You need to fucking weight. Or so you might have acquaintances, but you don't have any real friends. Mm-hmm. If all of your friends are also fat, then none of you are each other's friends, because none of you love yourselves or each other.
The man's not lying, guys. I don't know what else to tell you. It's very admirable to have you come out and just say these things that, frankly, most of us are thinking, right? But at least you have the guts to come out and say it, and say it in a way that you can't deny it. People can't deny it, and yet there's still kindness in it, because you're not doing it against them. You're doing it for them. You're saying it for their benefit. If somebody took everything you said and applied it, would their life be worse?
No, absolutely. No,
Exactly.
That's the thing. People,
right.
if you accept my worldview, then you also take control over your life and improve your life. But this is what I said a little while ago. Like, rejecting my worldview is also rejecting the idea that you could better your life.
So yeah, if you reject that and then accept your friends or acquaintances who tell you, oh, girl, rock that. I don't. You're with your big ass, whatever. Like, that's not your real friend.
It's not
like
your friend at all. No, absolutely, it is not.
Yeah, not because who cares what you look like, but because it's not good for you.
Yeah,
because it will cost you physically. It will cost you years off your life. It will cost you.
Well, I mean, separate from this, like, no, people have this thing, like, with the it's the about what you look like in that shot. No, it's not. Like, how you look is relevant to who it is that you are. Like, how you look is a reflection of who it is that you are as a person. Like, people have this shit. It's what's on the inside that counts. But it's like your outside is a reflection of your inside. Like, if you take somebody, and people understand this on some level, they just don't want to apply it as a whole. But if you go to a street and you find somebody who has their whole entire head shaved, but 3 blue dreadlocks and a squirrel tattooed across their whole ass face, that's a reflection of who it is that they are on the inside as a whole. So it's just the exact same thing with all the body fat and shit too. It's a reflection of you. Yeah. This is what your values is, what your priorities are.
Right.
So
it's back to the how you do anything is how you do everything.
Exactly.
If we talk about it in business, people are going to judge that. Okay, you have less discipline or no discipline if you're in a certain condition.
Yeah, you lack self-control. You sacrifice your own health for your enjoyment all of the time. Like, you are actively killing yourself. What the fuck much do you care about anything else?
Yeah. Yet you want me to go into business with you.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Yeah, on a very pragmatic, basic approach to that is like, okay, well, yeah, it's bad for you. Yes, this, all that, but like, it's going to cost you money too.
Yeah,
because people, whether you like it or not, are going to have a preconceived notion about you. Right.
Like, this is I don't agree at all with this thing of don't judge people. It's like, why would I not judge people? Like, people do things. This is absolutely ridiculous. Yeah. And you don't need to blanketly get to know everybody to make judgments. Like, I see a meth head on the corner. I think it's pretty safe to make some judgments about him. And the fat person is no different than the meth head. Their drug of choice is just cheeseburgers. It's all the same.
All right. It's funny because I'm not going to do it. Like, I've jokingly had disclaimers on the show before, the thoughts expressed by guests on the show. But no, I agree with what Jason's saying. Not because I agree, but because it's true. You can't deny it. He doesn't have these off the wall abstract ideas. They're all basic human understandings of the way the world works. You just frame them in a way where it's like there's no room left to talk about. There's nothing to negotiate. Facts are facts.
Yeah, and that's what I've noticed is I get a lot of people who disagree with me, but not specifically in a sense that they're trying to prove me wrong, that they're just insulting me or they got mad that I said a thing. But
yeah, very few people can disagree with what you're saying, right? Of course, it's how you say it. Like, that matters.
Yeah, it fucking does it. But yes, I just say things. I just point shit out. Like, I didn't make things be true.
And the thing to add to that too is all those things also apply to yourself. Right? It's
Absolutely.
not like you're saying you guys need to be like this. I'm going to do my own thing. This is exactly how you live as well.
Yeah, like
right?
no, when I started working out because one time in the middle of the night at my apartment, I looked at myself in the mirror and I was completely disgusted with what it was that I saw, and I refused to accept that shit any longer. So that's what led me to working out. I wake up early as shit every single day. Like I said earlier, I never feel like fucking doing it, but I do it anyway because it's what I'm supposed to do. It's what I need to do, and I said that I would do it, and I'm not going to be a bitch. So I work out for the exact same reasons. I don't feel like working out, but I do it anyway. I eat well. I don't drink. I do all of the shit that I say. I don't entertain bullshit conversations. I don't entertain bullshit people. It's like I don't just sit here and recommend fucking things that I don't do. Mm-hmm. So I hold myself to the exact same standards I hold everybody else to.
Right.
So I just don't happen to be fat. So I'm not specifically talking about myself in that capacity, but as a whole.
Right. But you could be if you succeeded in that, to your point.
Exactly.
Instead of succeeding at being fit.
Yes, except I would not let myself, because to me, going back to the balcony and the stabbing thing, that's just absolute insanity to me. Completely unacceptable. Would not tolerate it.
All right. The Jason Lamar is what is your Instagram handle, correct?
That's my everything.
That's your everything.
Yeah, that's my everything handle.
The Jason Lamar. I'm telling you guys, pick up his book, start checking out his content, and be ready to be challenged. And if you're avoiding that, that's on you, and that's why you are in the condition that you're in.
Yes.
So thank you for coming on the show. It's been extremely entertaining and extremely educational and extremely inspiring and enlightening, and all the other words that I could use to describe the conversations I've had with you. So again, I really appreciate you coming out. Hopefully this reaches a lot of people, and hopefully we can get you back out again. So for those of you that enjoyed it, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you on the next one.